States. We've got great growth in Pennsylvania as well, and New Jersey. The fastest growing markets are Florida. Florida's going through the roof. And the Virginia-Maryland corridor. And of course, we're launching Washington, D.C. In the next week, which we're very excited about. All of this will be announced on Super Saturday. I hope all of you are already registered. I would treat that like a national convention. Jonathan will be announcing, again, the biggest contest in the history of our company for selling solar and enrolling others to sell solar. So we're very excited about that. Quick update again, Puerto Rico's off to a great start. They hit the first dozen contracts in the first few days. So now we're ready to take the next phase of growth for Puerto Rico. So also very exciting. Leadership Council meeting yesterday. There's some big updates going into the software processes, conversations about the real-time, phone number, live phone number for any same-day challenges and things like that. I want to make sure that everybody's up to date on the contest or the promotion that I announced. So most of the leading groups in the country right now are participating in what I'm calling the Home Run Derby. The Home Run Derby is leaders that are booking 4 sequential Zooms. The first one is with me. The second one is with Charles. The third one is with Cammie. And the Grand Slam, if you will, is with Jonathan Budd. So the concept here is, I've done this before, that you enter into the funnel with whatever team you have today. If in fact you're building a team, if not, that's cool too. And if you do 4 events with your team, with me, Charles, Jonathan, and Cammie, you're going to have a new team. So as you know, everybody's already registered for National Convention that's serious about power. And the goal is to drive momentum into the convention, right? That's the ballgame, right? That's how you measure your success. How many members of your team were at convention, right? And there's local events going on in Florida, I think twice a month leading into convention. So the purpose of this Home Run Derby, and again, remember, it's fueled by the power contest. More money for solar sales, more money for recruiting, some pretty big stuff. I think you guys will be amazed. The goal is to utilize the contest and have events to build your team. Look, if you're building a team in power, great. Again, if you're not, God bless. We wish, we sell solar. That's what we do, right? But if you are building a team, you have to get used to one concept. Again, I've been doing this around the world for 25 years. If power was perfect, and we're not, and neither is Sunrun or Freedom or any of the local, companies. Nobody is, of course not. If we were perfect, everything would still be the same. You would lose team members because of financial changes, job changes, relocations, medical issues, divorce, whatever it is. Again, I've been doing this for a long time. And you can never play the hand you've got. So if you're truly interested in that passive and residual income stream, then you have to constantly be giving birth. I do it every day. And I'll give you one example before I turn it over to Stephen. I've been recruiting a guy for 4.5 years now in Florida. 4.5 years. He's a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month solar pro. And again, we're killing it in Florida. No challenges, no install challenges, permits fast, installs are fast. Just great stuff. And all of our metrics are showing that pretty much across almost every market. We're still trying to upgrade some of the challenges in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania, quite frankly. But most of the other markets, Maryland, Virginia, it's just smooth as silk, really. Where was I? Oh, a guy I was recruiting. 4.5 years. Sorry, somebody's pitching me. I happened to see him in a solar chat the other day because I'm in most of the solar chats. I hope you visit them. And one of the solar scams was promoting lead generation, selling leads, all that stuff. And I saw him in that chat and he said, DM me. And I messaged him. I said, dude, you're not buying leads, are you? Come on. And he said, no, but again, here you go. His company, who was a leader in Florida, is now not paying commissions. The old solar coaster, right? It looks like they're heading out of business. And he said, Bobby, I'm heading to New York in the next couple of weeks. Maybe I should fly down and see you. And I said, I'm flattered, but dude, you don't have to pay to come fly me. Let's get on Zoom. Let's go from there. He says, well, my aunt's a little sick. maybe I'll come down to Maryland and see you. I said, well, it's a big state. I'll meet you halfway. Just let me know where you're going to be. He was on texting with his aunt while we were on the phone. Guess what? She lives in my neighborhood. So this is 4.5 years. Remember, it took me 6 months to recruit Bernasso. It took me a year and a half to get Cami. It took me 6 months to get Rachel. It's not an instantaneous thing, right? It takes time, right? So remember, if I was a rep, he's worth 30, 40,000 a month to me, right? Anywhere from 10 to 30,000 a month in overrides and the team that he would be bringing. So I haven't confirmed with him yet. He's waiting for the final times and dates from his aunt, but looks like we're good to go. And so here's what I'm doing. So I'm inviting him to Solar Saturday. Remember, you can invite people to Solar Saturday, but you just have to make them understand that they're a guest, right? They're not in the chat bar. They're not asking questions. And I would never invite anybody who hasn't seen a full presentation and you haven't been on the phone or Zoom with them reviewing all of their questions, right? It is not set up as a recruiting event. I hope we're clear, right? But I know in my heart and my soul, if I get him to Super Saturday and text him when Jonathan's about to speak, if nothing else, and then I meet with him personally, I will now have added another one of the top solar pros in the United States to our platform. Follow up is the key, right? You never stop following up, okay? So if the group from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, whatever, remember, we're doing this in groups. Bernasso's already booked. Jeff Martin's already booking. The Hawaii team's already booked. I can go down the list. Rod, Emmett Summers, all the Maryland team, Virginia team, Rod Obi. Also, Rod is going to be presenting with me on Friday on Building with Bobby. Remember, Building with Bobby has shifted to once a month, the first Friday of the month, unless it's a holiday. And Rod's going to train how he took his team to 100 people. I think it was in 90 days, right? So he's killing it in Virginia and Maryland, okay? So Stephen has graciously agreed to take over the training on this, and we encourage all of you to step up and take a position in training as well. That's how you build your brand. That's how you get more business. That's how you get more tier 3 business, right? And I think, Stephen, we were going to talk today a little bit about something you and I talked about, the solar bro mentality versus the elegance of selling solar, right? Folks, all you see the numbnuts in the solar industry is posting the same thing. Their favorite word is close. I closed this deal. I closed that deal. They haven't opened up their minds to a bigger concept, right? I closed this. I closed that. I made this. I made that. None of them are talking about what they did for the consumer. None of them are talking about the 20, 30, 50, 80, $100,000 that they saved that family over 20 years, that put their kid through college, that changed where they live, that where their parents lived, or that retirement home that they bought. It's all about close this, sell that, what car I'm driving, what I'm making, all that kind of nonsense. And that's what's bringing regulation to the industry. All the solar bros out there that can't stop talking about closing deals. And they never talk about the greater good or what they're doing or what they're giving back. And the attorney generals are watching them and the state boards are watching them. And that's what's changed in the industry. So we want to raise that consciousness. Particularly, again, we're a public benefit corporation. I spent 10 years in nonprofit before this. So we certainly want to be a leader in that conversation, and we certainly want to shift as many people. That's what Jonathan spoke about as the keynote speaker at SolarCon. That's what I spoke about at the Solar Convention in San Antonio, is just getting away from the solar bro mentality and getting into a more, what have you given back? Not what have you extracted, but what have you given back? Who have you lifted up? Who have you taught this business to? Who have you taught this industry to? Those types of conversations. So with that, Stephen, again, we appreciate you being here. If you want to take the ball, I'll go back and forth with you a little bit. And then I've got back-to-back meetings, so I'm going to hop on. I'll hop off, when I have to hop off. Okay? So rock and roll.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks, Bobby. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Congrats, Pete, on your recent success and installs. And yeah, like Bobby was saying, a bunch of things we can cover here. But I think one of the first things is, the solar pro versus the solar bro. Can you hear me okay on my headphones, everybody?
Yeah, you sound great, man.
Awesome. So I've been doing solar for 14, I guess 15 years now in the residential and commercial space. From PA, I live in Jersey now, but I got started about 15 years ago out in Hawaii. So I kind of, Hawaii and the West Coast, as well as like parts of Europe and Asia and Australia are kind of, I like to think of a postcard of the future, right? So what solar is going to look like in 5 or 10 years. So as we're starting to see NEM 3 and net metering and utilities fighting back, that's kind of a postcard of what we're going to see in the future. And so I think as a corollary to the solar bro versus pro is how to build a long-term referral-based business ethically, where you're helping folks out and you're turning every sale into 2 or 3 referrals so that you're not chasing the online lead gen or chasing the next fix, that you can build an organic business long-term. And so I think there's a couple things that we can get into. I can talk about this for days. I'm not super tech savvy, but I have some stuff on YouTube that records like some hours of training and going through closing deals. And I'm working on a whole sort of closing manual. There's a lot of topics that we can go through, right? How to generate leads, how to use the platform, how to recruit people, how to get the bill and set the appointment, and then there's, days worth of content in terms of solar itself, right? But I think first and foremost, solar, everyone jumps right into the features and benefits, right? 400 watt this, 247 carburetor with this battery, and like customers don't know what any of that means. Most people in solar don't know what any of that means, right? So features and benefits is not what sells products and services, right? People buy on emotion from people they know, like, and trust. And then obviously you have to fill in the logical gaps to justify that, where it has to make economic sense. It has to be a win-win deal that helps everyone. But none of that stuff really matters until you have someone to talk to. So we could get, and we will get into it, right? So I have a whole sort of training planned out here. We can cover different topics in depth, and we can get into all the nuts and bolts and the details of, how to structure a deal and the economics. But first and foremost is lead generation, right? Without leads, you don't have a business, period, right? So there's a couple ways that I kind of frame lead generation. And I look at it as hunting, farming, and fishing, right? So how can we take ourselves and, make ourselves a brand, almost like copying real estate agents, right? And where we can generate organic referrals from our networks and tap into our networks and get them to pass us referrals, so that we're not out knocking doors and buying leads. And those things are great too, right? Nothing against that. So let's get right into different kinds of lead generation. Now we will go into all this, the psychology of sales, the psychology of success, mindset, right? Mindset is probably the biggest thing in sales and life. And everything I'm saying here, none of it's original. I didn't come up with any of it, right? It's all books, right? You don't have books in your library for not waking up every day listening to YouTube or podcasts or selling, right? You should always be learning. It'd be like a professional athlete that doesn't work out, right? So these things can be taught, these can be learned. It's all psychology, it's all mindset. You don't have to be a naturally outgoing, talkative person to do sales, but there is definitely an art and science to it, right? No sale ever happens by accident, right? There's a whole, he's a little bit greasy for me, but the Wolf of Wall Street guy that has the straight line selling, right, talks about every sale follows the same pattern, right? They have to develop trust and rapport with you, with the product, and with your company. And how can we take people on that emotional journey? So I'll just breeze through this. This is important, but not what we're going to talk about today. Sales is the transfer of energy, emotion, and surety, right? I know that solar can help you, and I'm going to help you learn about that. People buy on emotion and justify with logic. Persuasion is an art and science that can be learned and replicated, AKA read books. Selling is creating rapport through Socratic questions, right? Leading questions to take them on a journey where I want them to go. You're creating a desired emotional response and pair bonding yourself and your product as the solution to their problems using storytelling and analogies, not telling. There's a lot of dense stuff in there. We'll get on. We can get into that stuff later when we're talking about actually selling. First, we just want to get into lead gen. This is just a kind of a quick background, but basically telling is not selling, right? The human mind responds to stories, right? And analogies and emotions. And you want to ask them questions, almost like a doctor, to diagnose their problem. And you want to stir up enough emotion that we can get them to take action, right? I'm not Google. I'm not a library. I'm not here just to educate you on solar. I'm here to educate you enough on solar that you can take action and, like another sort of greasy movie, sign upon the line which is dotted, right? We're not here just talking about solar. We're here talking about how that can solve a problem for you and how we're going to get you signed up with the best solution, and we're going to take action, right? That's the biggest thing. Imperfect action beats knowledge all day. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. Taking action upon that is where you see the Bernassos and the Bobbies and all these other people of the world crushing it. Like Bobby said, he probably wasn't perfect when he got started. He's been working on some of these people for months, right? But every day you get up and you take action towards your goals, and that's how you keep doing this, right? Bobby also mentioned the solar coaster, right? The ups and downs and ins and outs of this, right? You just got to be like a Hall of Fame hitter, right? If they're batting 300, that means they strike out 70% of the time, right? So just keep taking swings, keep taking your cuts, keep getting out there, having conversations with people about solar, having conversations with reps about the opportunity, and go forward with this attitude of gratitude and service, right? That we want to go help the world, help people, help the planet. And yes, along the way, you're going to achieve abundance, right? Financial and time freedom and location freedom for yourself and your family, right? That's a part of it, right? But when Bobby was also talking about pros versus bros, right? It makes me think of another thing, kind of like the legal cannabis industry, or maybe even the mafia, right? Where there's some roots to this thing, right? Yes, it's a business. It's about making money, of course. But with cannabis, it started as a way to help people, to help sick people with cancer, or to help, right, help people that are not feeling well. So yes, we're going to make good commissions. We're going to help people. It's going to be a win-win thing. But this is about something. There's roots to this industry, right? I got into this as a hippie with long hair, trying to save the planet, right? The reason people do it, the only green that people are worried about is cash, right? So it's a great business. It's a great business case. We're going to save people money. Or people aren't doing this for the whales or the rainforest. They're doing it because it saves money. But all of these other ancillary benefits, right? Every solar system we sell, we're putting people to work. We're saving people tens of thousands of dollars. We're getting off foreign oil. Besides just the pollution of that, right? Our oil addiction is what finance and motivates global terrorism. We're literally sending 18-year-old kids into harm's way to fight and die for our oil addiction while making the world's worst terrorists and dictators rich, right? Not to be negative, but what we're doing means something, right? You should be proud to get up in the morning, lace up your boots, and go out there and try to help people. And if you have that attitude of gratitude, that abundance mindset, right? Your why, right? And that might not be your why. You might not be a hippie. That's cool. It might be about the money for you. But you dig down deeper and find what your why is, right? Is it your kids? Is it not having to go to an office? Is it, whatever it is for you? And if you have that why, you can figure out the how, right? The details, they can sort themselves out, right? But if you're coming from a place of service and trying to help people, solar sells itself, right? If you just have to talk to a certain amount of people, if you can't close solar 1 out of 3 times, you get your library card and start reading, right? I'm not that great of a salesman. None of us in the solar industry are. We all think we are. Solar is that great of a deal, right? If you can't sell a product that we can install it for no cost and save somebody tens of thousands of dollars, or you can get tens of thousands of dollars in tax credits and it pays itself off and saves on a loan over 100 grand, you suck at selling, right? Like study, work.
Let's take a break for a minute. And
Okay.
for all of you, as you become presenters and trainers, Steve's doing a great job. He's a solar pro, nothing I can tell him. One of the keys of presenting is to stop. Make a point. Have one topic. Lower your voice, raise your voice, take a break, make a point, and then go on, right? So what I would say to all of you as we get into this, and the training is brilliant. Well done, Steve. The first thing you got to start with, and we've talked about it all this time, before you even reach out to one person, is your profile. I could almost promise you, if I went on to the dozen of you that are on this Zoom right now and looked at your Facebook profile and looked at your LinkedIn profile, it wouldn't be what you'd want to see. Does it have your phone number? Can they call you? Mine does. Why wouldn't I want a potential solar customer to be able to call me? 9 out of 10 people on LinkedIn don't have their phone number. So you're telling me you don't want a prospect to pick up the phone and call you? Really? If they're that interested to do that, right? They don't really have your current industry or the current company you're with. They've got the last 20 companies, things you were doing. They've got your puppy pictures and your bake sale and all that kind of stuff. So before, in my opinion, remember, what's his name? Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank said, if you don't have a robust LinkedIn profile, find a new career. Find a new career. That was his point, not mine, right? So it all starts with, and I think I shared with all of you this a couple weeks ago, but just to reinforce, when I was on my way to Mexico, I stopped in California and I walked across the street because there was a craft fair. And I always do that because I like to shop in different environments and see what's local, indigenous to the community. And sure enough, as I walked into this meeting or this little craft fair, there was a Sunrun booth. Well, home run, right? I'm going to go recruit the Sunrun guy, right? Easy. I do it all the time. I met with him for a couple minutes, went next door to his wife's booth, who was baking sourdough bread, circled around the little compound for about 10, 15 minutes, just checking everything out. When I came back to talk to him, he said, dude, I checked out your LinkedIn profile and you are for real. So just remember, as soon as you contact a customer on Facebook, as soon as you hit somebody else on LinkedIn, as soon as you talk to your neighbor, right, they're going to go online and check you out on Facebook and on LinkedIn and perhaps Instagram and all those things. So rule number one, somebody just said guilty as charged. Connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on Facebook. If it doesn't reflect the pro, then why would they want to do business with you? In this day and age, if somebody's not sharp enough or ahead of the game enough to have a robust LinkedIn and Facebook profile, I wouldn't do business with them. I'm just starting to learn TikTok. In fact, that's going to be our training in July with Craig Stratton. Craig's one of the top income earners in the solar industry, works with us out of Virginia. Craig's killing it. He's got a couple of Home Depot stores. I forgot how many hundreds of customers Craig said he's gotten from TikTok. So I had to learn, I got to go learn TikTok. A little new for me, a little uncomfortable for me. I got to get uncomfortable because there's a whole new generation of kids and young people and first-time home buyers. And that's where they're living and that's where they're breathing, right? So look at your profiles. And Steve, this is what I was trying to do. Start with some, I end with some, make a point. Check out your Facebook profile today. Don't come back next week without a robust Facebook profile. I would highly suggest to you, don't come back next week without a highly robust and complete LinkedIn profile. And remember, that means you're joining every group. My wife just became an ambassador last week. Long story, right? And she's joining the Moms for Solar and the home, all these different groups that are a whole different sphere of influence than I might have, right? So, I spent the weekend emailing all of my ambassadors, are you doing all the basics and fundamentals, tracking your ambassadors, communicating with your ambassadors, engaging with your ambassadors? These are all the cornerstones of what Stephen's training. You got to have the basics and fundamentals down. Larry Bird was great because he had the basics and fundamentals. Like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. Remember, I've got a dog named after Jordan, and I've got a son named after Jordan, and a dog named after Kobe, right? So the people that prepare the best are the ones that make the most money. So just make sure you got your house in order before you go out with all these brilliant strategies that Stephen's talking about. Steve?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for chiming in. So feel free to chime in. As you can see, I get a little bit excited and I can go off on tangents, right? I'm trying to condense 15 years of knowledge in a library into 15 minutes. So Bobby has a
I
great
wouldn't
point of
worry
like,
about that, Steve. I would focus on even if today, because Steve and I are getting to know how each other works too. Everybody's not going to take all this in. So if your focus is on the best books to read and your takeaways from those books and why you use them and the art of learning and all those things, then that's a topic, right? If the topic is how to get more customers on social media, then that's a topic, you know. So the key is to break them down and not try and squeeze your 15 years of brilliance into an hour because it's not going to work, right? It's almost like pick what you're passionate about today, the first 2, 3, 4, 5 slides. We've got week after week after week after week, and we want all of you engaging, being in a chat bar, coming off mute, asking your questions. This is not a one-way street. This is a community event, right? So, Stephen, I love it. I know Johnson's one of the most voracious readers I know, reads a book or two or three a week. And that's where a lot of his brilliance comes from. I'm a horrible reader. So I need to get better there.
yeah, but there's, now there's Audible, there's podcasts, which I'm kind of an intellectual elitist. I don't think everyone needs a microphone and a podcast. I want to read the best of the best content. But every day you should wake up, right? And this is the last I'll say on mindset and training, like Bobby's saying, those athletes, wake up and don't go on social media. Don't look at the news, right? Get your mind right, whatever that is for you. If that's some exercise, some healthy eating, but also exercise your mind, right? Everything in here, everything you need to know about life has been written, right? And if you're not a big reader, while you're walking on the treadmill or driving in your car, one of these guys, I guess it was Brian Tracy, said the amount of time the average person drives, you can get a PhD just listening to back when it was cassette tapes, right? Now it's free. YouTube's free. The library has always been free, right? There's no excuse. It's just a little bit of effort. And all of the things that these guys and gals are saying here, none of it's rocket science. None of it's like revolutionary, but there could be a couple concepts that can change your life, right? There's $1 million idea waiting behind the book and under your work boots is what my dad used to say, right? So it's not just about knowing it, but it's about applying it. So with that, I could go off about sales and mindset forever. The first thing we want to do is how to generate leads. Because like I was saying, without that, you don't have a business. So the background of solar, that's another topic for another day. But to suffice it to say, this blue line is happening. And all you need to do is get a tiny sliver of that to make yourself financially free, to create generational wealth. So what this means is exponential growth, right? So the orange here is the price of a solar panel. The price of solar has plummeted over 90%, like every technology in history. It always gets better, faster, and cheaper. So the blue is the adoption line. It's been doubling every year for about 40 years. It took about 40 years to get 1 million solar homes, then 5 to get 2 million, then 2 years to get 5 million. So it's accelerating, right? So people are going solar, whether or not they go solar with you, right? That's our problem to figure out how to get a tiny sliver of this. The top people doing solar, it's no longer Whole Foods and rich hippies. It's Walmart, Wall Street, Google, Apple, Verizon, Costco, and a new homeowner. It was every 3 minutes. Now it's every like 45 seconds, right? So the pace of this is accelerating as the economic case becomes better and better, right? And this follows the path of all technology and social change, where no one has it till everyone has it, right? So this is inevitable. Solar is just math, right? The world's smartest corporations and investors and Fortune 500 people on Wall Street, they are not going solar because they're worried about the rainforest, right? It makes dollars and cents. Now we just need to take that message to homeowners who don't know anything about this, where they may have looked into it a while ago, it was too expensive. Part of the problem is it sounds too damn good to be true, right? People are rightfully skeptical of it's free, nothing's free, right? So really, all we need to do is get this message in front of some people, and at least 1 out of 3 are going to sign up if we are idiots. If we practice and train and get better at our craft, 2 out of 3 on an average day, 3 out of 3 on a good day should sign up. So this is some stuff here about how ideas go viral. This was a study, this was done, Christ, probably 8 years ago from Solar City. It was talking about how solar goes viral, right? So one of the biggest indicators, you look at demographics and psychographics. So the huge thing that we have, the advantage that we have with solar is that there is no advertising and marketing really, right? We are the advertising and marketing. This luckily doesn't fit on a 30-second commercial, right? It will in the next 5, 7, 10 years, everyone will be going solar, and probably there won't be these kind of ridiculous commissions, right? So make hay while the sun is shining, right? The time to create financial freedom for generations is the next 5 years, right? Pretty soon it'll be like an air conditioner or a car or indoor plumbing, right? Like, what do you mean you dig a hole in the backyard to take a crap? You know, what do you mean you don't have an air conditioner? But right now we're in the early adopter phase, right? So it requires a lot of education to make a sale. And that's why trust and storytelling is so important. And that's where we come in because we are the 30-second commercial, right? So when you meet someone, and that's what we're going to get into now, the actual meat of the training. But this right here, the green, this was a study when they had channel partners like we're doing with the Home Depot now. Solar City did that 10 years ago. And the green is someone that signs up from an appointment from Home Depot. You go in their house and present. That's what I used to do a long time ago. And they sign up. The yellow is referrals, right? Now look at how, I hate to say the B word after the last couple of years, but look at that viral growth, right? That's what we're looking to do. We're looking to plant a flag in a neighborhood, right? Get one lead in the wild, right? However we get that lead. And then we want to turn that lead into 2 or 5 or 10 referrals. And we want to become the mayor of that town. That's the solar guy or the solar gal that everyone is going to refer. And they're going to, when they think of solar, they think of you, and they're going to pass their referrals to you. But we can't get referrals until we get people to talk to in the first place. So hunting, farming, and fishing, right? That's how I look at lead generation. So hunting is taking your offer out into the wild. So people that have never heard about solar or thought about it, people you've never met. So this is cold outreach, right? Door to door. It's not my forte, but there's 20-year-old kids making several $100,000 a year, knocking doors for 2 or 3 hours a day. If you can get over your ego and get out of the car door and have a couple conversations, right? It's just numbers, right? So there's 2 numbers we can control: the number of people we talk to, and then our conversion rate. And like I was saying, you only need to have, 300 is the all-star baseball people, right? So reverse engineer your numbers, calculate whatever that is. If you have to talk to, figure out how many people you have to talk to get a bill, then how many people you have to pitch to get a presentation, and then how many people you have to present to get a close, right? And you can just do the work. Get out there and start knocking doors. Cold calling, right? People think cold calling's dead. I love to cold call. I like the sport of it. I think it's like digital door knocking. There's a great training from Panda who you can hop on, but basically says you pick a neighborhood. You could get most people's true information from True People Search. 95% of the time it's correct. And then almost like you're doing a door-to-door pitch, right? Call people up. Hey, did you get the flyer in the mail? Have you heard about the upgrades that are happening? Blah, blah, blah. And surprisingly, it works. I cold call Fortune 500 CFOs every day. I cold call homeowners every day. I love the sport of it. So you just need to have a conversation with people, all the time, everywhere you're going, all the time. A corollary of that is just talking to everyone all the time. Like Bobby was saying, he's at the farmer's market. He's at the craft fair. I love Uber drivers. I think I probably signed up 10 Uber drivers as salespeople and probably 30 Uber drivers as clients because they have to hear your pitch, right? Like they're stuck with you for however long it takes to get there. One of the guys is I don't know if he's on today, Cam, was already doing solar. He does Uber on the side. He saw the value proposition of power right away, right? He worked with a local guy, wasn't getting paid, was getting paid about a third of what we're making. And he's become one of my best salespeople from talking to an Uber driver, right? So people in bars, people in restaurants, people at the farmer's market, people with electric cars are the best. That's like fish in a barrel, right? So I have a Tesla. You should be getting yourself towards an electric car if you're in solar. But even if you're not, before I could afford a Tesla, I would hang out at the charging stations, right? Hang out at Whole Foods at the charging stations. I would put my stickers on the chargers. I got yelled at for that from Tesla. But just talk to people, right? Some of the
Hey, a
old,
point on that, Steve. Hey, take a sec.
I'll take a breath. Go ahead.
Take a breath. Take a breath. Otherwise, it just becomes one long sentence, right?
But wait, there's more.
That's Cammy's line. How many of you thought about being in the Tesla groups, the energy electric car groups on LinkedIn and Facebook? How many of you started about engaging that conversation on Nextdoor? I hope all of you are on the Nextdoor app. I am. I was posting on there this morning, right? So all this is great information, but at the end of the day, and Steve, I would encourage you in your trainings to think about this, is the actions that you're taking, like Steve did, breaking some rules and putting stickers on the charging stations, maybe sit at the charging station, have a cup of coffee and chat out with the people that are there, right? But the easiest, most efficient way to do that from the comfort of your home is join the groups all over the country of people that are interested in renewable energy, electric vehicles. Like he said, that's your target audience. There's still people just like solar that don't believe in electric vehicles. They're too soon, it's too early in the game, the costs are going to come down, the manufacturing of those is in China, whatever their story is, right? Everybody's got a story, right? And then there's the reality of the conversation, right? Obviously, everyone's going to be driving an electric vehicle because gasoline vehicles are going to be outlawed in 20 years. There won't be any more. But think about your strategies. Everything that Stephen brilliantly shares with you, think about your strategy, and Steve will train that. How do you implement that? I'm in all those groups. Why aren't you? Are you in the electric vehicle groups? So that you can do this from your couch, watching the Mavs play tonight, watching your local baseball team, doing whatever you do anyway. I do it on the elliptical. I'm not giving up anything. I'm doing all these things in the course of my daily life. I do it from the beach. I do it before my wife wakes up in the morning. There's so many ways to incorporate, like Stephen said, the Stephen Covey, the highly effective habits, every day, right? I'm a machine when it comes to that. Wake up, do the dishes, bring my wife a cup of coffee, spend an hour on social media before anybody's up. I'm in my gardens, I'm doing my thing, I'm returning my emails, I'm checking my power calendar, I'm doing all those things. But then I'm going to connect with 5, 10, 15, 20. What is your goal per day, per week, per month? How many groups are you going to join? How many people are you going to engage? How many strategies are you going to utilize? Have you all visited your local BNI group? Bernasso made 6 figures on solar in BNI. I can't imagine why everybody hasn't at least visited. It's free to visit, right? And they only allow one solar person in. Once it's gone, it's gone. Look at Craig Bloom. Craig Bloom does every local trade show, every local craft fair. You see him posting on Pioneers all the time, right? He's engaged. He's got a plan. He's got activity. He's dialed into the events in his local market on an app, right? You all probably have an app for that. I forgot what's the name of the app. The local event app. I can't think of it right now off the top of my head. Somebody probably knows out here, right?
There's several of them.
Yeah, so right? Do you know when the local real estate meetings are happening in your area? Do you know when the convention might be coming to you for HVAC, for roofing? All these things, they all add up. But what it all comes down to, you can listen to me to nausea. You can listen to Steve until the cows come home. What you have to walk away with is what action are you going to take this week to have more bandwidth, more broadcast, more contacts, more people than you had before. That's if you don't put it in action, it's just a brilliant presentation.
And there's a couple things that Bobby said there that was gold that could, like 6 figures, that could change your life. And I hope you're taking notes too, right? So not that what I'm saying is that cool, but some stuff Bobby's saying is cool. But just always be taking notes whenever you're listening, active listening. And feel free to chime in and interrupt. I'm half Italian and half Irish, so interrupting and loud talking to me is a conversation. So we don't want this to be a one-way conversation. I'm just ranting on a soapbox
No,
here.
yeah,
So
this should be a group thing. I'm Jewish. You can't get a word in edgewise between the two of
yeah,
us.
yeah, very
Anybody out there,
similar.
look, this is your moment. Who's on this Zoom right now? Who's got something to say? Let's leave it open for you all. Come off mute.
Yeah, feel free to chime in. And like Bobby was saying, there's two things there. One thing I got from Bobby via Bernasos before I even met Bobby was copying and pasting in your notes, right? So like if you're knocking on someone's door, you're cold calling, they're naturally skeptical and have their defenses up. As well, they should, because most salespeople, let's be honest, and most sales interactions historically have been scummy and transactional, and people have gotten screwed over. The beauty of solar when it's done as a solar pro and not a solar bro is that it's something that generally helps almost everyone to save money, and you can do it where you're helping everyone win in the deal. But people are always skeptical, right? The dog comes right up and sniffs you. Are you going to fight, or another word that starts with an F, right? Humans dance around it. Where'd you go to school? What sports team do you like? Right? Basically, are you in my tribe? Right? Can I trust you? Can I invite you in and break bread and sit down and trade with you? Or are you gonna like rape and pillage and burn down my village? Right? People are dancing around it, like, oh, what, you like the Eagles or the Yankees or whoever your sports team. Basically, can they trust you? So the beauty of joining these groups where people are passionate about, right? You're almost hacking into their social networks, kind of like Russia did using social media against us, right? But people are disarmed. People are passionate, especially in America, about cars, right? No one's interested in solar. Solar's not interesting. When I worked at Tesla, I was one of the top solar people there. Not to toot my own horn, because as my fiance can say, there's a lot of things I suck with, like folding laundry or something. But this is something I'm passionate about. You'd be surprised how many people that know everything about the electric car, they're passionate about it, they're Elon stands, they don't know anything about solar, and they don't know why it matters, right? I would always tell people when they walked in the showroom, welcome to the future. You want to take a test drive, not as exciting as the car, but this right here can save you enough money to buy this car and power your house and car for free for the next 50 plus years, right? And so I would have a handheld solar panel. You should have a handheld solar panel with you at all times. It's made me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not that it's about money, right? But it's one thing that you can put in anyone's hand, especially when you're at events or networking, right? And it's another cliche, but it's true. Your network is your net worth, right? So I like Craig, I met him out in California, and like Bobby said, everyone should be planning on going to the next convention and getting your team there and building up to that, right? I love networking and events. I don't like door to door. It feels awkward and weird to me, but there's people that are crushing it. If you want to do door to door, get the Michael O'Donnell book, right? He's a master at it, right? Michael O'Donnell's made millions of dollars knocking doors. Door to door is a great strategy. If you want to do cold calling, I can teach you that. Panda can teach you that, right? But networking is the beauty of it is people are open to hearing your pitch. They're in a good mood, and you can talk to, like Peter was saying at the HOA, you can talk to 10, 20, 200 people in a day and convert those people to be your ambassadors referring to you. So it's not just a one-off, right? You're not just out in the wild sniping to find, hunt one thing to kill that day to eat, right? What if you could get a whole herd of people? And that gets us into farming and fishing, right? So fishing is you're going to cast your line out there, you're going to have bait on it, right? And you're going to get people to bite on your lead, on your advertising or marketing, right? Digital and in real life. So even though we're doing like high technology and apps and technology is great, a lot of this stuff is also old school, right? Don't sleep on old school techniques. Technology can amplify those and magnify them, right? But it's still cold outreach or warm outreach, right? Every day, wake up and put 10 business cards in your right pocket and don't go home until you give them all away. And the technology, the social media, that's great, right? But that's like a corollary to what you're doing in real life. So I love events. Events are my bread and butter, right? Luckily now I've built it up to where I'm mostly getting referrals, which is amazing. And I feel blessed that way and have a team of people passing me referrals that I close. But right now is the time to go to your local farmers market, the strawberry festival, the apple festival in the fall, set up a table. You can get enough leads and appointments to set you up for a whole quarter, right? A whole season. You should be thinking of life. You're a business owner now. You're not a part-timer. You should be thinking of things in terms of quarters like businesses do, right? But you can go there. You can get 10, 15, 20 good appointments out of an event. And the way I do that is I set up a raffle box, right? And I give away free water, free candy. I have a raffle wheel. I've hired face painters in the past, have bag toss. So you want to make your booth fun, right? You don't want to be like,
I love it. Great. Hold on one sec. So also, folks, again, so think about this. You know, we all live in the mid-Atlantic. I live in the mid-Atlantic, you know, with you. I'm in Maryland. This is that seasonal time of year. This is it, right? This is when America's going to the craft fairs. This is when they're going to the music festivals. This is when they're going to pick strawberries. This is when they're doing all those things. It's not going to happen in October. It's not going to happen in November. Then you got apple picking, you got the seasonal. But this, you have to think differently in the Mid-Atlantic than you do in California, where it's theoretically sunny or gloomy these days every day, right? Same way you have to think differently if you're Chicago, right? Where it's cold a good portion of the year, or if you're in Seattle, where it rains every day, right? In the Mid-Atlantic, you have this vibrant community. I think 2 weeks ago, July 4th week, Memorial Day weekend, 330,000 cars crossed the Memorial Bridge. When I was down in Ocean City, Maryland last week, I'm looking at some of the communities there, looking at what events are going on down there so I can go on vacation down there, right off my vacation, which I always do anyway, and see what I can do with the local community at the beach houses. These folks have beach houses, a lot of Airbnbs, and the costs go through the roof, and everything you can save them is something better. So, and Stephen, what I'm going to suggest we do this week after week is really break these topics down, like one area, craft show, you know, summer festival, whatever it might be, summer events, BNI, online marketing, and all those types of things. Because this is a lot of things. This could be 10 trainings, right? Brilliant, but could be, you know, 10 trainings. So I would encourage all of you. I was in the vet yesterday with my wife to drop my dog off, and I picked up the local, it happened to be the Jewish Times, and looking at all the local events that are happening in the local area. Even if you just stop by, that's how I do it. I just walk the booths, shake hands, buy some shit, right? And when you get around to get on the conversation, all I want them to do is ask me what I do for a living. And to Stephen's point, I save people money on their electric bills. Not rocket science. What do? I save people money on their electric bills. The bills are going through the roof. These are going to be the highest rates in history. Temperatures are soaring. Record heat waves are coming. I am just so honored to help people save money on their electric bills. Really, how do you do that? Boom, right? So remember, this is a funnel. How many people can you meet? How many conversations can you have? How many inquiries can you get? How much information can you deliver? How many contracts, proposals can you send? How many contracts can you review? How many referrals can you get? It's an assembly line, right? But you remember, I always say, one of the things I made up, you can pay $500 to go to a Ravens game and watch Lamar Jackson, or you can watch Lamar Jackson make $500 million. There's nothing wrong with either one. I'm a big Lamar fan. My point is, Lamar's on the field playing the game. Everybody else is just watching. So you have to decide whether you want to play the game or whether you want to watch the game. They say there's 3 types of people: those that play the game, those that watch the game, and those that have no idea the game is even being played. Stephen's trying to share with you that the game is afoot. And the question's going to come back to, remember, you're the one's got to look your wife in the eye. You're the one's got to look your kid in the eye. You're the one's got to defend what you're making or what you're not making, or if it's working, if it's not working. But the first place to always look, where I try and look every morning, is the mirror. Why do you think I keep adding new things to Power? Market development, this meeting, Power Day, this home run derby, because every day you got to give birth. You got to wake up thinking, how do I move my business forward? Because these are all divisions of your own company. Remember, everybody, you're the CEO of your own company. We're a platform. How's your marketing division doing? How's your event planning division doing? How's your ambassador division doing? How's your social media engagement division doing? And it's all fun and it's all easy. And you can all do it in your spare time. I do. I do it when I'm waiting in the car. I do it when I'm in the food store. I'm walking up and down the aisles and I'm on Facebook. And then I call my wife because I can't find anything. Right.
Bobby just dropped a bunch of nuggets there.
And I got to
hope
jump
everyone's
off. I
taking notes.
apologize. Let me jump off. I want to thank Stephen again for taking this over. Anthony's dedication to this meeting for well over a year was extraordinary, and we appreciate everything that he's done. And we encourage you to join Stephen, be a part of this. Ask him when you can promote. I have a real fear. I really do. I'll just share this with you as I'm going. No, don't take it negatively. Of the person that doesn't, a concern for the person that doesn't want to join in and get over their hump and get out of their comfort zones. Hey, Stephen, I'd like to speak next week for 5 minutes on this, or I'd like to speak for 5 minutes on that. I've got an idea I'd like to share. That's my wish. That's my early Christmas wish, Hanukkah wish for all of you, Kwanzaa, right? That you become a participant rather than a spectator. The world's full of participants. The people that make the money are not. Right? They're the ones that are speaking. Right? Okay. Stephen, take the ball. I got to jump on a Zoom for Puerto Rico. Thank you all for everything you're doing. Again, we're working on making New Jersey better every day. Pennsylvania's smoking. And the Mid-Atlantic is smoking. So all around you, great things are happening. And don't miss Saturday. Treat it like a national convention. I know I am. Okay. So have a blessed day. Have an amazing day. Work out. Be healthy. Hug your kids. Kiss your puppy and have a great day. Peace.
Awesome. Thanks, Bobby. I hope everyone was taking notes for what Bobby said. There was a couple things he said that where it's just casually built into his lifestyle, right? But it's not casual, right? It's all very deliberate in terms of like, looking how you approach your day. And I say the same thing, like it's a cliche. I guess there's truth to cliches, but none of this it's not hard work, right? It's work, but it's not like I grew up doing construction work, right? Since I was like 5 years old. My dad did, cinder blocks and bricks and cement. Like that's work. Going in a coal mine, being in the military, working in a factory, working in a kitchen. My fiance is a nurse. I could never do that. Like that's work. We're talking to people about sunshine and saving on money, right? Like what, so you can create your life where all of this is built in all the time, right? So you definitely have, deliberate times where you're doing deliberate cold outreach or deliberate warm outreach, and it's not casual. It's not just I'm not just waking up and I got a jacket on today. I don't know if you can see below. I got shorts on, right? I'm never wearing pants. I've worked from home for 7 years, but like it's not casual, right? Like it's omnipresence, and you have a very deliberate strategy, but you can weave it in where you're talking to people at the events, right? And so I think what I need to do is, and I have a lot of this stuff on YouTube. I could go on for hours. I mean, none of it's rocket science, right? You got to find people to talk to. You got to talk to them. You got to get them in your funnel. You got to find out the psychology and the ways to talk to people to disarm their natural defensiveness, so that you can go from, chest to chest salesperson that could be confrontational and threatening to them, to like side to side energy consultant that's on their team trying to help them check out saving bills, right? That's, to get them into your funnel, because once they're in your funnel, everyone should go solar if they qualify, right? That
And
part,
yes, Stephen,
that
quick
part's pretty
question.
easy. Yeah, man.
Yes, so I'm a lead generation expert. I have a solar marketing company. I recently joined Power. So I could put mass volume of deals through. Like I do telemarketing, I do every different lead type. But what I would like to know, like, what are the hottest markets? Like, what would you have the highest conversion rates? Like, as far as like they got everything down pat, as far as like the installation times and everything. So like whether like I know Hawaii, like I don't really know the market like that. I would like to know about that. I know the Cali market is nice. Puerto Rico, so possibly even some of these other markets, like where the focus at. If I could get appointments at anywhere, where do you think, like for power, totality, in the grand scheme of things, where the like appointments should get focused at?
Great question. So everywhere is really good for solar now, right? Especially since electric rates have skyrocketed, right? Everything that everyone's complaining about, inflation and the price of this and the sky's falling, like to me, it's the best time ever to be in solar, right? I was doing it 15 years ago when people were paying 11 cents for electric and no one heard about this, and like there wasn't financing that, like, so solar is great right now, right? So that being said, the best markets that you want, if you're going to target your outreach, right? The states with the highest electric rates, obviously, and the best state incentives, right? So New Jersey's great, right? Because of the SRECs. You know, anywhere that there's an SREC in the Mid-Atlantic, so Jersey, PA's decent, Maryland, Massachusetts is good, Connecticut's good, New York, we're not quite online in New York yet, right? So there, the value proposition of a PPA or a loan is going to make the most sense, right? You're going to be able to save them significant money right away on a PPA, or get them in a finance situation with a hopefully 5 to 7-ish year payback, you know, and a good ROI, IRR over 10, 15, 20%. So Cali's good, Hawaii's good. Power's crushing it really, I think, in, you know, California, Texas, Florida, the South, is growing a lot. There's nuances to everything. Illinois was really hot because you get the SRECs all up at once, and it's a newer, right? So you haven't had all the door-to-door guys from Utah, I'll just leave it at that, come and ruin markets with their bullshit, right? Don't be one of those guys in a vest and a hard hat saying that you're from the electric company or the government. Like, that's not what we're doing, right? Right? That, you know, they're borrowing authority from those. There's no need to lie to anybody or screw anyone over, right? Like, if there's an 80-year-old grandmom on Social Security, like, don't set her up with a loan if she's not going to get tax credits. That's a whole other kind of topic. But Illinois is really good because it was kind of a newer market. Like, if you know, if you ski or snowboard, right? I grew up going to the Poconos, and by like mid-morning, all the good snow is kind of skied off, and it turns into like icy, rocky crap. So you got to ski along the sides, right? So some of those areas that like have been hit hard, and people have an idea of solar, and it might be the wrong idea. So new markets are always great. But now, you know, Illinois net metering is going away, unfortunately. Net metering is going to be going away probably in most markets, but hopefully batteries become cheap enough soon enough that that value proposition works. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of rambling on, but yeah, any states that have expensive electric and good state incentives, it's going to be your best return, right? Your best value proposition, easiest sale. But solar is making sense in more and more markets across the country now. So, you know, some of those new ones are great because they haven't heard all of this stuff before. And we're still, even at the saturated markets, right? California, Jersey, places where people have heard it for a decade plus, we're still at 4% national adoption. 96% of people don't have solar. The number of people doing solar is doubling every year. Energy is the largest business in human history. It makes drug cartels look like child's play. We're literally fighting wars for fucking oil, right? Like, the number one traded commodity is oil. The number two is coffee, I think, right? These are the things that fuel industrial civilization. And we have a technology that's getting better and faster and cheaper that now is the cheapest form of energy on earth. I bet most people on this call don't even know that, right? Even without incentives and tax credits, rebates, and any of that, solar is the cheapest form of energy on earth because the technology, it's gotten 90% cheaper in the last 10 years I've been doing this. It used to be a Whole Foods pitch, right? If you think it's hard now, it used to be, hey, sign up to go solar and pay 4 times more, and maybe this shit will pay off in 30 years, but you're helping the rainforest. Like when I first started selling solar, it was like $350 a watt for the panel, for the hardware. We were installing it at like $8 a watt. like legitimately, not even taking advantage. Like that's what it costs, right? So like we're at that perfect, it's called a great book, The Tipping Point, or check out the YouTube of it. It's how ideas go viral, right? We're at the tipping point where solar is now the cheapest form of energy. There's all these great incentives, but most people haven't heard about it. Or if they have, they've heard the wrong story, or it used to be too expensive. It used to be ugly. It used to be bulky, right? A lot of people aren't familiar with like the PPA. You can get it up for no cost and get a lower rate, or you can get all these incentives. Like people are thinking 5, 8, 10 years ago, you had to stroke a check for 30, 40, 50, 80 grand. No one wants to do that. But if you can do solar as a service, right? Switching from cable to Netflix, right? Like if you look at this chart here, this is what is inevitable, right? If you can grasp two things in solar to be successful, it's the concept of compound interest and exponential growth. So compound interest is how solar can save you so much money, even on a PPA, right? It's not a coincidence that the electric rate goes up 7% a year on average, right? 3 to 7% for 100 years. It's tripled since 2000. They've had a 100-year monopoly, right? And so the government guaranteed them a return for investing billions of dollars to make that. But 7% is roughly the number you need to double your money every 7 to 10 years. So that's how even a PPA saving a few cents can save people tens of thousands of dollars over time, right? So grasp that. Einstein called that the eighth wonder of the world, right? And the analogy I make, right? Because no one understands, I don't understand what the hell a kilowatt hour is, right? It doesn't matter really, right? All the features and benefits, 400 watt, like my dad's a car guy, used to take, he's got an old Corvette and I would take the Tesla there, just like Bobby's saying, to talk to people all the time. And the cool thing about a car event is people love their cars. So if you go up to the EV people, oh, cool, how much miles do you get? Where do you charge that thing up? And you act kind of stupid. Oh, cool, where do you get your electricity from? And then you give your solar pitch, right? It's a way to bypass their defenses. But people haven't thought about, well, you know, the old analogy, right? The PPA is solar as a service. It's like switching from cable to Netflix, right? You don't have to buy a satellite dish or a solar panel. You plug into the internet. It's cheaper because technology has cut out the middleman. We're talking on cell phones or computers, not landlines. We watch Netflix, not cable. We have Uber, Airbnb, Amazon. Technology inevitably disrupts the old incumbent monopoly. It doesn't matter what the fuck, excuse my French, my coffee must be kicking in. Doesn't matter what your parents don't care where the entertainment comes from or how the phone call gets connected. If you have a better, faster, cheaper service, people want it. People don't give a shit about solar. I don't give a shit about solar. I mean, I do. I'm passionate about to save the planet and world peace and abundance and running off of dinosaur bones and the pollution and war that causes, right? But most people just like, oh, if I can save some money, okay, maybe I'm interested, but I'm busy. Can you make it quick? Right? So that's where all the sales comes in of how to take your 3 seconds of meeting them in the wild to earn 30 seconds to get your elevator pitch, to earn 3 minutes to get your value proposition, to earn 30 minutes to give your presentation, right? Right. There's a reason that a pop song's like 3:33. It's the human attention span, right? Back to the dog at the door, people sniff you out right away. And I think one of the things that Bobby does effortlessly is to be interesting, you be interested, right? So like when I go to those farmers markets and I used to have tables, would always go to the other people. So be interested in other people. If you're going to a networking event, like it's not like, hi, I'm Bob and I sell insurance and I've got 2.3 kids and a dog. Like no one gives a shit about that. Like, yes, we're there to do business. We will do business. But I like to ask something different to see what people are generally interested in, right? So if I'm going to a networking event, it's all about you. I would never conduct myself like this if this was a sales call, right? This is me trying to vomit 15 years of information in an hour, which as Bobby said, I need to like break it down. Like I could write a book about this shit. We need to break it down to little things, right? But if I meet you in the wild and you're a customer, it's all about you. I'm asking you questions and follow-up questions and not the standard sports and weather questions, right? Unless you're like legitimately passionate about baseball, or whatever. Like I'm asking, like I want to uncover emotion and genuine human connection, right? What are you passionate about? What lights your socks on fire? What gets you out of bed in the morning? If you hit the lottery tomorrow, where would you go and what would you do? Right? And it's not about the money. It's about what are you on this earth to do? What do you get excited about? Maybe that is baseball or the weather or whatever. But like if you can have a genuine human connection and take a stranger into a friend, if you sit at the kitchen table or the Zoom table or the boardroom, if solar doesn't make sense to someone, either they're an idiot or I'm an idiot. Either we suck at our job or they have poor comprehension, because the PPA is not even a freaking sale. The PPA is switching a service. Hey, there's this new thing called a cell phone. Hey, there's this new thing called Netflix. Why would you pay $100 a month to watch commercials if you can get freaking Netflix for 15 bucks and it learns you better than you know yourself, right? And I always tell stories, right? Feel, felt, found. Tell the story about my mom, right? Oh, I came home for the holidays and a commercial came on TV and I hadn't seen a commercial in 5 years. And Mom, what are you doing paying for commercial for cable? I don't know. I watch my shows. Well, here's my Netflix thing, right? Imagine you got 7 to 10 grand to tell people about Netflix. Would you be complaining about interest rates right now or whatever? Like high interest rates and inflation and issues in the world is like the best thing ever for solar. We have the solution. We can help people and like middle class, working class people that are like hurting right now. We can actually help everyone you meet save tens of thousands of dollars over time. And you can help people earn tens of thousands of dollars even in their spare time just to pass your referrals. Like solar can really help on a lot of different factors, but the first things first is we need to learn how to talk to strangers and make them into friends and find strategies and ways so that we're not doing a one-off, so that we could do an event and have 100 people fill out our raffle and make 15 appointments that day, and then put all those people that filled out the raffle into an automated follow-up funnel, send them our quarterly newsletter, get them referral bonuses so that you can make it like when Bobby's talking like it's effortless, or maybe even me to some extent, it's not effortless, effort. There's a lot of effort that goes into it, but it seems like second nature, right? But having this system of like, it's the same freaking pitch every time. So have it copy and paste it in your notes. I have my Facebook pitch. I have ones for EV groups. I have recruiting people ones. I have my commercial pitch, copy and paste, right? Because you're taking people down that same funnel, right? But it's just a matter of how many people can we talk to and how much better can we get at communicating effectively to get them to overcome their objections that everyone has and their skepticism that people should have of salespeople, right? To get them to take action to help them save money. Because this is what's happening, right? The energy sector is being disrupted by a technology. It's inevitable. It's doubling every year. We're 17 doublings away from 100% renewable. For the last 15 years, everyone said it's a pipe dream. It's hippie bullshit. I've been preaching the same gospel for 15 years. This is inevitable, based purely on economics and technology. It doesn't matter what your opinion is, right? It doesn't matter what bullshit Fox tells you that electric cars are so lizard people can take your freedom away or some bullshit. It's purely economics and technology. New technology comes out, it's expensive, it's scary, it's new. You mass produce it, you get economies of scale. Every time you double manufacturing anything, the price goes down 20 or 30%. Once you reach the tipping point, the level of adoption grows exponentially, right? Like Henry Ford didn't invent the car. He made the assembly line to make cars affordable and introduce financing so that you could break it down to a lease or a loan to own. Same exact thing with solar, right? So all we need to do is get like a sliver of this, a percentage of this, right? Have a certain amount of conversations with people, whatever your forte is. Like you don't need to do all the stuff that I'm talking about and we'll focus on, but like maybe set smart goals, right? Small, manageable, trackable with the timeline. There's an acronym there. But like when we get off the phone today, Google business networking events in my area and get one, right? BNI, Latip. There's so many of them in person and also online. You could do this every day of the week for free, right? Eventually, some of them might hit you up to join. It's worth joining, but you don't even have to, right? Um, get off the phone and Google events in my town. What's the next event that you could pay $50 to set up a table, right? Get some raffle forms. As soon as we get off the phone or as I'm chatting, Google solar phone charger for $15. Carry it with you everywhere. Every person you meet and you're pitching, put the fucking solar phone charger in their hand and don't let them give it back to you until you're done your pitch. Right? Like I sat in the Tesla showroom, I sat at farmers markets, I sat everywhere with that. That thing was probably the best marketing tool ever, right? Because we interact with our cell phone every day, we interact with our cars, we interact with a lot of other goods and services, but no one knows what the hell electricity even is, right? So like if you can put something in their hand, they can visualize like my phone is always losing juice, right? And they can hold something that's tangible. And it also gives you the window to get your pitch out, right? Because if someone's coming into a store or a farmer's market or you meet in the wild, no one wants to be pitched, right? Our national religion is consumerism. The day after Thanksgiving, how grateful we are, right, for land we stole from Native Americans, but a good harvest festival's, good to celebrate what we're thankful for. People get up at 3 a.m. to go wait in line to buy crap made by a kid in a freaking sweatshop that they don't need on credit with money that they don't have, right? So, Bobby was talking about it's seasonal, right? My biggest months are always in the winter. Right? A lot of people are like, oh, well, it's the holidays. Well, it's this. Well, it's that. Like, no, you need to create an evergreen business for whatever season it is to be getting referrals organically and hunting in the wild and building your network of referring people that are going to refer you. But right now is like prime season for events and festivals. And the benefit there is people are in a good mood. Everyone's happy. They're listening to music. They're drinking, they're eating, they're being merry, right? So you can meet them where it's not like face to face standing off on their front porch with a freaking siding salesman. And I say that not to knock door to door, no pun intended there. Like people are crushing it, making several $100,000 a year, knocking 2 hours a day, right? So whether it's door to door or it's cold calling or it's events or it's networking or it's marketing, it's just how many conversations can you have in a day with people and how many of those people can you convert to come into your funnel, right? So whatever works for you, try a little bit of all of them, dabble in it. But the beauty of a good event is people can come to you and you can set up and they're literally filling out your lead form, right? This is the same thing that people will do in a online advertising. And that's a whole other thing. That's not even really my forte, right? But if you can do this in real life, where you have a free raffle, you give your phone charge to everyone, so you pitch everyone as they're filling out the raffle, and you make appointments with that. You can also take this and get your own little organic channel partners and set up your raffle box at a local business, right? If your friend has a coffee shop, a pizza place, anything, say, hey, we have a sun-raising program. I work with local businesses and nonprofits to raise funding. We have this great ambassador program. Anyone that signs up, our company will send you 500, $1,000, whatever, right? So make them an ambassador or do it on your own or whatever, and buy $100 worth of their stuff, right? So make a little gift basket for the coffee shop, the pizza place, and pitch the owner of that business. And you can put a little thing, get some raffle things made. People will fill that out and fill the box up every week. And you have people that, in real life, old school advertising and marketing, right? Online stuff works amazing. There's people crushing it with that as well. There's a lot of bullshit and recycled scammers and crap leads, and everyone's basically copying and pasting the Bill Murphy course, right? So there's not too much sophistication there. Everyone's talking about AI and this, that, and the other. I'm sure maybe eventually we'll all be working with robots, but for now, there's the human element. that's needed because this is an educational sale that luckily doesn't make sense to people right away. So that's where we come in and can make all this money helping people. I'm kind of just ranting here, and I guess we should probably start wrapping it up eventually, maybe see if we have some questions. But for now, if we can make 3 action steps, some homework for next week. Google business networking in my town. Set up and go and attend. Chamber of Commerce, right? The people are there and they usually have coffee and donuts in the morning, or wine and cheese after work, with the express goal of promoting businesses and referring each other businesses, right? BNI and Latip are specific where you can only have one person and everyone refers you, right? The real estate agent's usually the hub of those groups. A lot of things are centered around when someone buys a house. Chamber of Commerce are usually more loose and free flowing, right? So go to those events, right? Get out there and let people know what you do. And the cool thing there is it's not like you're on someone's front door. Everyone is there to do business and they want to learn about your business. And like the mafia here, right? A good way to do referrals is be like the mob. Like, I got a guy, right? So you can refer a real estate agent, you can refer a painter, a landscaper that is really good, and people will reciprocate, right? That's another law of human nature. They did a study where waiters or waitresses brought the bill with no mint, 1 mint, and 2 mints, and for 1 and 2 mints, people tipped more, right? So people feel like they have to reciprocate. So you should have like a Rolodex of people you refer business that will then feel obligated to refer you business. And it might not need to be one-to-one transactional, right? But it'll come eventually, right? The thing about planting all these seeds, right? We'll have to get into this stuff next week. Farming, how to build a long-term referral-based business. You can't necessarily plan referrals, right? There's ways to plant seeds and ask for referrals and weave it in several times. And there's ways to definitely get them, but you can't necessarily plan it. You need to plant a bunch of seeds. The parable of the sower. You throw 100 seeds out, some fall on rocky ground, birds eat some of them, pests is going to come and eat some of them will get mildew or rot, right? But if you plant 100 seeds and they grow, and then throughout the summer you're watering it, you're protecting your crop, you're fertilizing it, you're weeding it, it's not magic, right? That book, The Secret, I'm going to go home and write a check for $1 million and meditate. That's part 1 of The Secret. You know what I'm saying? The laws of manifesting, and it's not woo-woo like hippie bullshit. It's the laws of physics. It's how nature and the universe operates, right? Where your vibe attracts your tribe and you put out frequency. So that's step 1. But you don't just sit there and meditate and $1 million shows up. Step 2 is hard fucking work. On your hands and knees, ripping out weeds and fertilizing, right? You're spreading shit on the ground. You're watering it morning, noon, and night. But then if you tend to your crops, when the fall comes, you're going to have a harvest of such abundance, right? You're going to need friends to give away tomatoes to, or you're going to need to learn how to make ketchup or salsa, right? Because you're going to have such an abundance of crops. And that's how you want to look at your business. So you want to be kind of doing all of these things all the time. And I guess I just did about an hour of verbal diarrhea, so I don't know how much of this is sinking in. But we want to maybe come back to earth a little bit and have 2 or 3 solid action steps to take away. And so that's go to a business networking event, look for an event like some kind of festival or farmer's market. You can set up a table get your raffle box, and go to a local business, see if you can make them into a channel partner. And go out and knock some doors, go out and talk to people, go post up at the EV charging station, maybe have some coffee and give people coffee, talk to them about their cars, and then weave in solar. I could keep going on and on, but we have to go out and instead of talk about solar, let's go forth and sell some solar. Let's wrap it up there. And next week, I'm going to have to be more prepared to focus on one little thing instead of everything. So I hope I didn't overwhelm you with too much stuff there. Does anyone have any
So
questions about any of that stuff?
Yes,
yeah, so
Stephen,
oh, go ahead, Stevenson.
thanks. Uh, just curious, what was that program or app that you talked about being able to get the phone numbers for specific neighborhoods?
Yes, True People Search. It's called. There's probably a couple of them. 90% of the time, that one is accurate. So let's see. You go True People Search. Usually, it gets their cell phones. So pick a good neighborhood. New houses, south facing, not a lot of trees, and you can do reverse address or reverse phone. You're going to set your computer up as a split screen, right? And then so you can just copy and paste from Google Maps and then just change, one, 110, 112, and it'll spit
I see.
out people's address, right? So we'll go. And then the Panda kid, James something Panda, has a pretty good training on some stuff like that. It's kind of basically a door-to-door pitch a little bit. It's pretty decent. It's not rocket science. His thing is, hey, did you get the flyer in the mail? And the biggest thing about all of this is how you talk to people, right? So the biggest thing I would say, and we do this naturally with our friends and family, but we kind of clam up when we get to like homeowners somehow, like a sales thing. So if you call someone up and you're like, hi, this is Bob calling about your extended car warranty, like click. Like, hi, this is Bob from XYZ. Like, no one wants that. When I call people up, I'm like super casual and I'm like, I act like they're my friend. I'm like, hey, Bob, how's it going? So hopefully for half of a second, they might think like, do I know this person? Why are they calling me? Was I like, you have maybe a half of a second to get in there, right? Um, and then you can go into your pitch and hopefully convert them. And you got to be okay with getting hung up on 90% of the time and just like letting it rub off your, roll off your back like water on a duck's ass. Like, okay, on to the next one. I guess probably a lot of people say if you look at every door or every hang up as $10 or something, right? If you're going to make, hopefully, well, we probably shouldn't talk about money when we're recording these, but you're going to make a real estate type commission, right? Do the reverse math of, okay, every person hangs up on me, I just made $10 or $100. And kind of have that attitude like a goldfish that forgets every 7 minutes or whatever. Like, okay, great, on to the next one. The girl who sold the most Girl Scout cookies. Her philosophy was some will, some won't. So what? On to the next one, right?
Right.
So,
Are you just trying to get the telephone bill?
yeah, I guess the main goal, right, is in the beginning, you're not pitching solar. If you're new to this, or you're just getting started, or if you're doing marketing, you want to kind of sell the sizzle, not the steak. And I hate to say so many cliches and one-liners, but there's some truth, right? They come from a certain region. There is some truth to cliches. But yeah, you want to sell the sizzle, not the steak, meaning we want to set up an appointment, a discovery call about solar. You don't want to go into all the solar stuff right away, right? So that's one of my problems is I'm always pitching all the time. I'm like popcorn, peanuts, cold beer. In the beginning, if you're doing it, you want to be like, hey, get your elevator pitch down, whatever works for you. Like, Bobby, we help people save money. So if you're cold calling someone, the Panda pitch is, or if you're door knocking, hey, did you get the flyer in the mail? Or first it'd be like, let's do a little role play. You're like, hey, Bob, how's it going today? Right? Any fun plans for the weekend? How's it going? For a second, sometimes people just start talking to you if you talk to them like you're their best friend. And then they'll be like, oh, who is this? What's this about? I'm like, oh, hey, real quick, did you get the flyer in the mail? Have you seen the trucks in the neighborhood? No, what are you talking about? Oh, well, real quick, what we're doing is, and you go into it, that we're upgrading the electric grid in the neighborhood. Did you hear about the new programs? There's programs where we can install solar at your house for no cost. if your house qualifies and lower your bills 20 to 30%. I know that sounds pretty crazy, but there's government programs, big incentives where your average home can get 10 or $15,000 in federal tax credits, 10 or 15 grand from the state of New Jersey. It covers, majority of the cost of the equipment that you could also take advantage of. Takes about 5 minutes to see if you qualify. Looks like you get, good sun in your house. That's why we're working in your neighborhood. What's your average electric bill? Do you pay that online or get a paper bill? Okay, great. Well, we have one of our, people be in your area, and you do the option close. If you're doing it and you can close it, take it right there and go into the pitch. If you're working with a mentor, then your goal is to set up an appointment on their calendar. And so, like Henry Ford said, you can get it in black or black, right? The car. Say, okay, great. We have someone in your area. If you can't do a live transfer, how about Thursday at 6, or would Friday in the morning be better for you? Right? It's not like, do you want more information? Is there a good time to follow up? It's Thursday at 6 or Friday in the morning. And you want to get them booked on a discovery call with your mentor, who can then go into closing, which is a whole other thing. But in the beginning, you just want to get people interested, and you don't want it to be, no one wants to sit through an hour-long bullshit like this, right? No one wants what I was talking about, Thanksgiving and the holidays, and I went off on a tangent, was no one likes to be sold, but our religion is consumerism. So we all love to buy, but we don't want to be sold. So what you're kind of trying to do is get past their defenses, right? And get in there where you're creating a selling and a buying situation, but you're like real confident, but also casual about it, where it's kind of laid back. It's not a huge thing of, we're going to sit here for 2 hours reviewing your electric bills. It's, hey, take 5 or 10 minutes, see if you qualify. We have a great app. We can pull your house up on the app, see how much money we can help you save. No obligation, no cost, no real sales pitch. Just going to go over how the program works, see if you qualify, and if it makes sense for you. So you're really just trying to, in the beginning, just get people willing to sit down at the kitchen table or at the Zoom or at the boardroom or wherever you meet them, at a Starbucks, whatever, just to hear about it, right? And people are going to be skeptical. They should be skeptical. It sounds like bullshit. It sounds too good to be true. Nothing is free. How does this actually, what are you talking about, right? And then when you explain it, every presentation should go from, that sounds like complete and utter bullshit, right? The sun doesn't shine at night. We don't live in the Caribbean. It gets cold. What about the winter? What about my roof? And then as they get to the end of the presentation, it should be like, oh, well, that's a no-brainer. Why isn't everyone doing it? Why wouldn't I have Netflix over cable? Why wouldn't I have a cell phone over a landline? Why wouldn't I have an Amazon account? Why wouldn't I have solar, right? But the biggest challenge, I think, in the beginning, no matter where you meet people, is breaking through their defense to get them to sit down and be willing to look at it, right? There's a whole art and science of how to do that, basically, right? How to disarm a stranger and make them into a friend. And just try to be like you are with your friends, right? Like, if you meet your buddy for a beer after work or a baseball game, or you're having a barbecue on the weekend, it's not like, oh, hi, Bob, how was your week? Like we don't talk like we do in a sales call with our friends, right? So if you talk to customers like they're your friends, they sort of go along with your energy, with your vibe, right? I don't know if that answered your question, but kind of went off on tangents. But to
Yes,
answer your
thank
original
you.
question,
So excuse me, Stephen, how many deals, what's the amount of time you've been with Power? How many deals have you closed through the platform, and what markets have you closed the majority of your deals at?
Good question. I've been doing solar about 15 years. I've closed about 800 or 900 at this point somewhere. And probably about 10 megawatts of commercial, which is like school districts and businesses. Power, I think this one is 100 something, I guess, Centurion. So probably somewhere around 100 deals with Power. Been with them, I guess, don't know, about 2 years now, maybe. Um, and I'd say I get referrals from everywhere, but I'd say probably a majority is in the Mid-Atlantic, California, some deals in Hawaii, Illinois, New England's really great. Connecticut's great. Jersey is great. PA is great. I mean, anywhere is really good as long as they have net metering. But yeah, I guess where I've lived is where I get most of my organic referrals.
So do you have a booking calendar? Like if I was to, like, put some deals like on the see like your availabilities, like if I'm just like, possibly throw a few deals on your calendar, is it possible that you could, provide a booking calendar?
Yep, definitely. So I got my Calendly here, right? So here's my thing for a discovery call, and that
Yes.
shows I'm available. So you fill this out, click on this, put the customer's email, put your email if you want to listen in, or if you're busy making more appointments, you don't even have to. But if you want to kind of learn what I'm doing, there's my calendar link, and that's efficient because it's going to show when I'm available, and it automatically sends a Zoom link to the customers.
Oh yeah, I got it. So you from PA? Where PA are you from?
I grew up in Downingtown, Westchester, about 45 minutes west of Philly. Now
Right.
I live in North Jersey. I've lived at the shore. I just used to live in Connecticut. I helped Tesla open up when they opened up in Lancaster, but I grew up around here, the Philly suburbs. How about you?
Yes. So I'm from Reading, Pennsylvania, but I live in York currently. But I deal with several different industries, but solar is like the main vertical. I did marketing. I work with 7 other top 10 solar companies. My partner generated billions of revenue for solar companies. But I got people all throughout Jersey and that there. But now I see your number. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but no, but you seem like somebody that I could build with. But yeah, but yeah, so I'm well, like all throughout Jersey there, and especially North Jersey. Some of my partners, they even set up at like the Devil's Arena, the American Dream Rolls, some of the heavily populated live events there, and do marketing. So I got some sharks, on my team with it, but and law offices and everything I work with there. But yeah, I'll chop it up with you some other time in that, about possibly about some different things in solar and that. But yeah, it's nice meeting you in that, and I may put some on your calendar there for you. I'll keep you posted.
Definitely, yeah. Put my phone number in there. Anyone here, feel free to like call me or text me if you have questions, if you're with someone, if whatever, you just want to talk, like, try to be here to help as much as anyone can need. I'll try to get focused on these calls so it's not like a book. So maybe we'll cover a chapter each time of like something kind of focused. But there's my phone number, the 484-782-4372, right? It's funny, Bobby was talking about people not having their phone numbers. I can't stand if you're trying to get a hold of a business and you can't call anyone, right? Like apps and technology is great. Like Uber, I lost my phone number and I can't get back on Uber. I can only use Lyft. So I think as much as we're using technology and AI and what we're doing is technology, don't sleep on the old school stuff, right? Business cards, phone numbers. That's another trick too. When you're out in the wild, you can have on your phone. I always wanted when people ask for the business card, right? I'm going to give them a card, but hey, we're a green company. Let me send you my digital card because I want to get their contact info, right? And then so I want to, like getting leads out in the wild at an event or wherever you're at, and pull up your business card. There's one you can take a picture of their thing and it automatically sends it, and send them your digital card. So now they're in my phone, and then make sure you store things so you can access them later, right? I have like little codes for myself of, Lee, New Jersey, 620, 6524. Met him at the EV charger station, the guy with the three-legged dog who's into kite surfing, right? So I have all these notes so that when I call him up, I'm not talking about solar at first, like, oh, how was your kite surfing trip? Oh, cool. How's your dog? Or whatever, like a human being. But all of that's like intel. And so then I can go and follow up on all of those. Eventually you can drip on them with automated follow-up and automated campaigns. But have your phone number, right? Don't be a secret agent. It's another cliche. I don't know who said that, but one time we were at it was an Earth Day event at a recycling facility out towards Lancaster. It turned out to be more like a dump, and it was like pouring rain, and we had a tent, and there was people there. Like it was kind of a crappy event. But someone came by and they were with like a local radio station, and give them the little 30-second pitch of they were interviewing all the people. And I'm like, it was a kids, I don't know, PBS like local thing for kids. And I was like, okay, boys and girls, get your crayons out and write this down. Here's my phone number, 484, blah, blah, blah. And repeated it a couple times. And like I got 3 phone calls that week, like randomly off the radio from from people that heard that. Right. So, like be accessible. I did another one of these podcasts and someone called me up from Illinois. Because like no one gives their phone number, right? Like I'm not into all the apps and all that bullshit. Like I'd rather pick up the phone and call me or text me or, technology's cool to help us and assist us, but I want AI like doing the dishes and doing my spreadsheets so that I can be creative and be freed up to live life. I don't want to be sitting there like feeding chat GTP like ideas to think about, right? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure AI will probably disrupt everything. But for now, it's like humans talking to humans, make a friend, make a sale, get an electric bill, get someone to agree to just sit down and check out like, hey, there's all these programs. We can install this for no cost. I know it sounds too good to be true. It's really worth checking out, right? There's a reason that the Wall Streets and Walmarts and US military, right? There's a reason all these people are doing solar, right? In real life, I think it's tacky as hell to name drop or number drop, talk about money. It's kind of gauche and tacky. But with solar, the reason I'm always like bringing up those big brands and those big companies is people trust Walmart, right? They trust the military. They trust these big brands. Like they know that Walmart is greedy and uses child labor in sweatshops. So like they know that Walmart's not cared about the greater good of the world. They are only doing solar because it works and it saves money, right? So your main thing is trying to get someone to here. This is more of a thing I have when I'm sitting with the homeowner to take them through solar, right? But I got a slide on, rising electric bills, falling costs, the history, right? This is 100-year-old military technology. We've seen technology disrupt everything in our lives, right? But people are skeptical of someone knocking on their door, calling them, or meeting them. Solar, it sounds new. But really what we're trying to get people to feel comfortable is this is 100-year-old military technology. It's been on every satellite since 1958, been to the moon and back in the 60s. And yes, we did go to the moon. Jimmy Carter had solar panels on the White House in the 70s during the oil embargo. Amish people have had solar on their barns and buggies for decades. So this is not new technology. It's not rocket science. It's basic chemistry and physics. So it's a proven technology. The reason that we're looking at it now is the costs have plummeted, right? And all these top brands, right? The largest user of solar is like the military and Wall Street, people you wouldn't think of. So you just got to get the homeowner to be comfortable enough, like, this is worth checking out. I'm busy, but sure, I'm down to save some money. It's probably BS, but it can't hurt to check it out. And then once they get in that presentation and look at the numbers, it's really a no-brainer, right? Someone else said, it was Bernasso's or one of them, solar is an IQ test, right? More than it's an IQ test. If you don't understand how solar can save you money, either my presentation stunk or you're pretty dense, right? And so the good news is there's 96% of the world that hasn't heard about this, is unfamiliar with the concept, and we have great solutions that can help them. So all we have to do is really have a few good conversations a day, get in a few presentations a day, and the rest will kind of sort itself out. It's it's just a numbers game of filtering people through the funnels. Does that make sense? Did someone else have any questions? Bueller?
No, it
Bueller?
makes a lot of sense. That was a nice, eloquent way of articulating it.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, but there's my phone number. Give me a call after this. We can chat about marketing and setting up some appointments. Did anyone else have any questions about anything? Is there any topics that people are struggling with or would like to dive into, like in some specifics instead of Solar 101 and, Mindset 101, but specific things that people are having some challenges with that you could need some help with, that we could do a more focused training on next week or in the weeks to come? Cool. Well, I guess we got some homework for next week. We'll tune in next week. I'll try to make it more brief next week and stick to one topic at hand. And I'm happy to be here to help anyone out. Give me a shout if you have any deals you need help with or just anything in general. And go forth and have some fun, have some good conversations, go forward with an attitude of gratitude, looking to help people, and let's go out and spread the light. All right, guys, we'll see you same time, same bat channel next week. Peace. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.